Viktor Orban in Hungary, just like Vladimir Putin in Russia, he also led his country into a full-blown moral panic about gay people and trans people. And in both countries, they used that in particular as a way to not just hurt and scapegoat queer people, they used it as a way to consolidate yet more control over the media and over schools at all levels. In Orban's case, he then led a moral panic about schools themselves, declaring war on the one truly prestigious, internationally influential graduate school in Hungary, a school called Central European University. Central European University is very influential and important in Hungary. It had an important publishing house, a really important library, a very important and highly ranked law school. Viktor Orban couldn't stand that. He demonized it. He forced that university out of Hungary altogether in 2019. This past year, he took control of 11 more universities. And then after eating his way through the media and eating his way through academia, just like Putin, he then ate the judiciary too. Orban forced out judges in huge numbers and then appointed all their replacements. And then he just created a whole new court system in which he appointed everyone in it. And they all report to him, including him deciding which cases go to which judges on an individual level, on his own say-so. Once he got complete control of the judiciary, he wrote himself a new constitution in which he gave himself the power to do all the things that had previously been struck down as unconstitutional when his country used to have real courts. It is easier to see it. It is easier for us as Americans to see these patterns when they're farther away, right? When we can see them in other countries, particularly when we can see them happening simultaneously in different countries that are all run by authoritarian leaders. And, you know, the patterns aren't that hard to discern because you see the same ones in history that you see in modern life. All authoritarians kind of do all the same things. Authoritarian rule is a pretty simple thing, right? Basic idea of authoritarian rule is I'm in charge, nobody else gets a say. If that's your goal, your roadmap basically only has one road on it. Set about making sure that nobody else has a say. Set about undermining and disempowering any other institution, any other entity that might challenge you or tell the truth about what you're doing. Undermine it, disempower it, take it over, shut it down, ultimately kill it off. It's the same pattern everywhere. It's the same playbook everywhere. And that is why it is unnerving to see elements of the American right going for it in the small ways where they can, too. They can't do it federally, but they're doing it in the states wherever they can, right? I mean, what's called Central European University in Viktor Orban's Hungary might reasonably be called the New College of Florida here in the United States, where the ambitious hard-right Republican governor of that state moved quickly from stoking a moral panic about gay people and trans people to asserting ideological control of education broadly, and then demonizing and taking over one scapegoat college in particular. You might also see some of this at work just today in West Virginia. NPR reporting on how Republican Governor Jim Justice in West Virginia has declared war on West Virginia public broadcasting, which is increasingly important as a news source in West Virginia, particularly as the news business has led to the collapse of lots of local news gathering operations. But at West Virginia Public Broadcasting, Jim Justice has decided that's got to go too. So he's gotten rid of the professional leadership. He installed his own communications director as the new CEO. And now they've started firing reporters who have reported on scandals and failures in Governor Justice's administration. And I could describe that West Virginia situation as a scandal. I think for most Americans who value the idea of a free and independent press, it would be seen as a scandal. But just watch. If what Jim Justice is doing with the media in West Virginia, if that starts getting national attention, just watch. Other Republican governors will see what he's doing and try to emulate it themselves. Because this is what's in style right now on the American far right. It is a race to outdo each other with this stuff now. And we know where it ends. We've seen this playbook lots of different places. We can see it all around the world.